All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for the video. I'm sure when you see all this paperwork, you're like, wait a second. We told this guy, we told him not to buy the Range Rover. We told him it was going to be a trouble vehicle. And here he is with the 1-year follow-up. And he has literally stacks of paperwork regarding the service and maintenance. So in this video, I'm talk about the maintenance that cost me. I'm gonna talk about the things that went wrong. And basically it's gonna sum down my total ownership cost. All right, let's get started. Hey everybody, my name is Eddie. I do automotive YouTube content, anything from racing, DIY, product reviews, you name it. If you want to check my other videos out, definitely check out, my playlists and some other things. I also car reviews. So let's get started with this. This is my 2019 Range Rover Sport Supercharged Dynamic. Has the 5-liter V8 supercharged, 518 horsepower. The motor that they've been using for a little bit with Land Rover and Jaguar. And I know that when I purchased this vehicle, a lot of, especially this being more of a BMW focused channel, I saw a lot of hate and I saw a lot of comments telling me that this was not going to be a good move for me. And, they're going to watch me talk about these unreliable things and two best things. But I guess when you buy one and you sell it, or I heard things like, you need two of them, one's in the shop, then you have another one to drive. Well, partial of that could be true. But I could argue the other side of it because not every car is immune to issues. But I'm also going to be transparent. I want everybody to know, like, what, this car hasn't been trouble free, but also is the things that went wrong. Let's just get more in detail because I can easily, tell you all these things that's happened and you're gonna think, oh, see, but hear me out, watch video all the way through. I'm gonna break down the costs because obviously you gotta maintain the vehicle. I took it into Jaguar Land Rover service and let them do the work to see what the cost is gonna be before I start tackling my own services. All right, so the first thing I did when I purchased it, I checked the oil, which was a digital or electronic dipstick, and you can't really do a full measurement unless the engine's warmed up and then cooled down. And you have to wait like 15 minutes, which, I mean, how you should check the oil. But I felt like it was a little tedious because of the BMWs, for example, the X3 and the X5s that I had, you can just let it warm up. And then once you park, you just let it sit for a minute. And then I think it runs the motor a little high RPM. And then within a couple minutes, it gives you a reading. This, you drive the vehicle, let it park for a while, let 15 minutes, come back out, turn the vehicle on, don't start the engine, then go to the oil reading. And then they'll give you a digital readout of the oil level. Anyway, I never got that. It took me a while to figure it out. It kept telling me, I said overfill eventually. And I was like, ah, oh, that's great. A couple times they'll say right at the limit. Sometimes they'll say overfill. And I was like, something's not right. Let me just take this vehicle in. Let me get the service done. That way I know everything's up to date because I bought this from a non-Land Rover Jaguar dealer. And who knows what could have been done? Who knows like what kind of work they could have, I just want to make sure that everything's up to date. So I took it in, made an appointment to have two dealers. I can go dealer A, which was 40 minutes away, or I go dealer B, it's 45 minutes away. So I chose dealer A first, made my appointment online, 45,000 mile appointment, vehicle had 45,000 miles on it, drove it there. I get there, they say, hey, actually, do you want to leave your car here? I said, nope, I'll be waiting. They said, well, it's gonna be a few days. A few days, like, I thought I made an appointment. I thought we make an appointment that you sort of get that block time. That's my appointment for me that's block time for you to work on my vehicle. And they said, well, we're just swamped. And I looked outside and I could see just Land Rovers and Range Rovers just all around the facility, the service department. I just felt like they really are swamped. I don't, my vehicle sitting in the corner. There's a bunch of them, the airbags are deflated because they've been sitting for so long and they're just squatted down. I said, I'm not gonna, I said, what can you do for me? At least get an oil change done, at least the bare minimum. They said, yeah, we can do that. We can do that for you. They said, you have about an hour and a half. I said, yeah, I have to have time. So I walked over to Chick-fil-A for breakfast and sat there, did some video editing while I was waiting. And, paid me back and I came back. And that service cost me $300. $300 for an oil change. It was $91 looks like for the oil. And it's like 0 to 20 they put in. And then there was $25 for the filter. And then $9 for the waste disposal fee, plus $160 for labor. So I guess between $116 of parts and $162 of labor, total was $298 and after taxes and stuff. So I was like, wow, it's pretty steep, for that. That's sort of what I was paying for when I had my M3 in service. I paid around $300 for oil change, and I thought it was just a markup for being an M. But this is not an SVR. I mean, obviously it's got the V8 and stuff, but I was surprised that it was expensive as it was. I was thinking about like $200, $250. So, but I still need to get the remainder of the service done. Obviously, I wanted to get a hitch install and go from there. So I ordered the parts, ordered the hitch. The hitch was, I think it was like $2,000 from, I did a whole video on this. So $2,000 for the parts, for the hitch, for all the components, for the painting. It's a lot more involved than just bolting onto a frame when you get the factory hitch for Jaguar Land Rover. You get to buy the module, the wiring harness, and then there's some other things that they had to do for programming. So I just rather have the dealership do it because I didn't have any tools to do it. I obviously have newborn at home. I'm not gonna be able to have that time to just run through it nonstop, for 6 hours and how long it's gonna take me and do it. Plus the painting that's involved. I'm gonna take the part, get it painted, bring it back. And then I felt like I'm gonna have my vehicle in parts for a while, and who knows, it just took me a little bit to get that all set up. I had them do it. So $1,700 for labor to do the hitch install. And also, since the vehicle was still in the warranty, of course, they do their vehicle inspections, but wasn't expecting to come up with this, but they came out and they told me, they said, hey, we discovered an oil leak. I'm like, really? Because there's no oil in my driveway. There's no oil in my garage. They said, yeah, we found an oil leak. But we think it is your rear main seal. Now, you're gonna get the comments right now. Just hold on. Don't get in the comments right now because I know what you're gonna say. We told that guy not to buy that Range Rover. We said he was gonna have problems, and see, here he is, rear main seal. There are a lot of vehicles who have rear main seal problems. I don't think that it's an issue with a lot, oh, this is why I'm never buying, a JLR Parga ever again. I'm never buying this car. There's a lot of makes and models with rear main seal. It's an expensive job. Don't get me wrong. It's a job that you hate. It's one of the things you hate to hear because it's going to be labor intensive. But it luck of the straw, right? It happened to me, and they said they hardly ever see that with these engines. But only thing I think of is because the vehicles were sale for so long. I know it's for sale for at least over a year. I watched the price drop $20,000 over the course of that year as the values had plummeted. And I thought this might be a good time for me to make my move on it. But I imagine the vehicle hasn't been driven that amount of time. Who knows? Seals go bad, things dry out. That's why it's better. Sometimes a low mileage car is worse than driving a car that has some miles on it because it's been driven. But anyway, I covered the warranty. It was free to me. They gave me a loaner car. They said, bring it back in probably about 1,000 miles or so, and then we'll check it again. They said they know there's another portion that leaks, another seal that leaks too, so they want to check both, but they want to replace the first one just to see before they start the labor intensive one. I said, okay, well, we'll do that. And I still was in my doubts that it was. When I came back home, I looked at the garage very closely, didn't see anything. Even before I bought the vehicle, I even did, inspection, much as I could. I checked underneath it, looked underneath, and, checked everything, make sure it was, I hadn't seen any traces of oil. But who knows? They said that there's a drip pan inside there, all the skid plates and things, and some stuff that collects on that. So you may not see any visible leaks, but like on the ground, but it's starting there. So I took their word for it, let them do it. And I imagine they probably did that when you do oil services, you had to remove that plate anyway. And they might be like, oh, there's stuff. Let's see where it is. So they did that, brought the vehicle back, and actually I wasn't able to put a full 1,000 miles on it anyway. I had a trip. I was gone for 2 weeks, and I don't think I put a few hundred miles on it, and I brought it back. And this is dealer B, by the way, because dealer A was too busy to do the work. So that's why I made an appointment with dealer B. I should have said this. I should have prefaced that in the beginning. Dealer B had more appointments available. They were spending a new expanding facility, and I felt like they couldn't handle the work. They said they could do it. As far as I even called them to verify, like I'm not gonna get there, and then there's gonna be. They said, oh no, they can do the work. So anyway, I planned to drop the vehicle off anyway for the trailer hitch install. They did the trailer hitch, and I told them, I said, there's a vibration I want you to check since you're doing this. When the vehicle is cold between 1500 and 1800 RPMs, I hear like a vibration like a heat shield. They said, yeah, we can check that out. And like I said, in my head, I'm thinking to myself, why don't I get this stuff done while I was under warranty instead of just like, oh, I can figure it out. When we have a car in warranty, just have them do everything. Try anything you would think of, you can figure it out, because my warranty was going to expire next summer. So I let them do that. They couldn't, at the time, they couldn't discover anything. They said, nope, we couldn't find anything. I brought back the second visit. They said, yep, your car is leaking in the second place. All right, now the second location was, let's just say it was, I think it was the oil pan itself. So another special job, because those oil pans, they go up into the motor, and I was sitting here like, great, I can't. But I know what it's like, and I don't like my engine being taken out. I know that sometimes like even had the X5, it was the same thing. I'm sure the engine had to be removed. These vehicles have tight tolerances. There's no way, it's not like the old cars where you can just do the work yourself. These things are just getting harder and harder to work on as these cars get newer. So anyway, they said they had to remove the motor. It was really expensive. I imagine this job had to be about $8,000. I mean, I don't know. I'm just talking. It could have been less than that for an oil pan, but just to give you an idea, let me find this one here. So he said he inspected the vehicle. This is the second visit, right, to follow up. Inspected the vehicle with the UV light, verified the oil leak is still present, removed all undertrays, and isolated the leak to the oil pan assembly. Remove transmission and transmission cooler lines assembly for access to the rear main plate. Front differential with both axles, and started to remove the front accessories. While removing the accessory pump, thermostat, and air compressor, found that the nipple on the water pump vent hose broke inside the pump. Removed the water pump, found that the top right bolt of the water pump broke upon removal, and was unable to extract the bolt. So they drilled the bolt out and performed a helicoil kit to add through the threads. If you know a helicoil, basically you're almost like a tap and die set. You're just, if you have to drill out something, you have to basically put new threads back in, just rethread. So anyway, they replaced the water pump, continued to repair, removed the lower timing cover, alternator, high pressure fuel pumps, AC lines out the way, removed the oil pan after raising engine much as possible, and replaced the pickup O-ring, oil suction tube O-ring, and resealed the oil pan. And they reinstalled the components, performed the transmission fluid top off due to the cooler removal. It had to do the AC system bleed procedure due to the AC pump fuel lines and remove and repair, and we verified all fluids at the correct level. So this is why something I can't do myself, and this is why something that you see why the cost is there, because it's not just going underneath the car and doing an oil pan removal and then sealing it and then put it back on. As easy as you want that to be, that wasn't the case, because they have to move the engine up a little bit. In order to do that, they have to remove all the components surrounding the engine. Then they can then mount it and then take off some things. So, so when they did that, they said that they say pressure washed the engine bay from above and under vehicle while on the lift. They added the oil dye again. Test showed the vehicle 2 miles. Verified no abnormal noises or leaks at this time. Test drove vehicle again for 20 miles. Re-inspected it. Then they verified all fluids at correct level. No pending coats. No signs of oil dye, and no further repairs recommended. So they had, I think that time they had the car for almost 2 weeks, mainly because a few days due to work. They said, I think they finished. I think it was probably they started on a Tuesday. By Friday they finished the work, and they said they wanted to keep it for a couple more days just to drive it to make sure. They want to hand it back to me, and then there's more leaks. They said a lot of things came off, so they want to obviously give it a car a few miles to make sure nothing's wrong, which I would prefer, and they did, and it was back. Like I said, and I know what you're thinking. Remain sealed. That goes, of course, bad. Hold on, but think about this. You go onto your Hondas, your Toyotas, all those cars that are known for reliability. Those cars aren't immune to those same issues. I had a Lexus ISF, which is a Toyota product. Rear main seal was a common issue with that, and I knew it. And researching, I actually found that it was actually coming across a lot of Toyotas, especially if you have a 3.5 V6. Do me a favor, I want you to Google Toyota rear main seal, and you'll see all the people with same complaints. So rear main seal and oil pans, those things just happen. Like I said, it's just obviously the labor cost is higher on a luxury brand than it is on a non-luxury brand, but the parts, the basic concepts of engine is still the same. It's the Jaguar Land Rover uses no special seals than different than any other engine. But as much as I like it, that was the issue that happened with this. And yeah, I wasn't thrilled. Don't get me wrong. You don't buy a car and then this goes down, but I'm just thankful that I still had the bumper to bumper warranty at the time when it was discovered, and all this was covered under warranty. If it wasn't covered under warranty, I still had to bite the bullet and pay the cost, because you buy a vehicle like this, you still have to think about what you're assuming. Just like I do with BMW, any other manufacturer, I always recommend just having some cash in reserve for just things like this, separate from your emergency fund. Have an emergency fund, of course. It is not financial advice, but have an emergency fund, but then have a separate bucket for, I always say, at least $5,000 if you can, to cover these things that are coming unexpectedly. All right. Since that has been taken care of, drove the car on a couple of road trips, towed my BMW M3 down to Southern California. I think it was about 6 hour drive. It was a pretty far drive, but towing the whole time. I mean, I obviously am putting this engine to the test, and all the components, everything's being, stressed out when you're towing, and no other issues. I had no check engine lights, nothing to go wrong with it. Been reliable ever since, no problems. The only thing I can think of, these seals went bad probably because the vehicle has been for sale for quite some time. I watched this vehicle drop $25,000 over the course of a year before I purchased it, because it was priced high. I thought, my opinion, but obviously it was the peak of the COVID high pricing, and then when the market started to correct itself, the dealers chasing the market as they're trying to bring the price down. I think the vehicle just sat there in the lot for so long and no one was really interested in it, and the seals dried up. That's the song I think of. They just dried up because the dealer was surprised. He said, "We don't see this, especially with these engines. We don't see this." So I felt it was a one-off for me. I felt it was a one-off for this vehicle. The V8 engine on this, I don't think it's something that, if you can buy a Jaguar Land Rover and you're gonna have problems. I think too is, if you buy one, like I said, I did a visual inspection when I looked underneath it. I should have looked closer, but like I said, I'm thinking if something is major in there, I'm gonna see oil. Hindsight's 2020. I guess I should have just had a pre-purchase inspection done. Either say, hey, you know what, let me take the vehicle to Jaguar Land Rover and have them look at it over really well. And then if that passes, I'll purchase the vehicle, make a contingent offer on that. But I think if you're gonna do it, maybe that'd be something. If you're worried, like, I want to make sure I don't want to bring that same situation as me, where you buy a car and then later on this happens, consider that. They did the full everything else inspection, and of course, how dealers, they look for something else, and everything else passed the green. They didn't find anything else. Then a year later, of course, you have to bring it in for your regular scheduled service. And it popped up, said 600 miles due, service. And I didn't put any miles on it from the beginning. I only put like maybe 5,000 miles on it. So I was like, oh, well, I got to take it in for service again because it's been a year since the last oil change. So you might as well, oil should do it every year or by mileage base. So I scheduled an appointment and I just scheduled the service routine, what service was. And it was $1,200. That was this included a lot of the multi-point inspection. Let me tell you what all that included. Now, this service was a little more expensive than what I was thinking. Obviously, when you book your appointment, because again, I went back to dealer B again. Let's just count dealer A out of the question because I haven't used them like ever since that first oil change because they've just been busy and I just don't want to take a chance. These dealers already got involved. They pretty much been intimate with my car by taking the motor halfway out and doing this whole thing. So might as well just keep it with them. But they decided they said, yeah, you need the service done. They went through the history. And the technician was like, yeah, have you had this done? I said, I don't think so. I haven't had a car that long. But anyway, they went through a few things. So one thing is obviously the engine oil, filter need to be replaced. Obviously resetting the light, go from there. And they said, I think we were called for a pollen air filter replacement, which I told them, don't worry about that. I can get that. That's right behind the glove box. Pop that out. I saved some money from there, but not doing the pollen filter. But one thing they said you should do was dynamic response fluid. I said, dynamic response fluid? He said, yeah, your vehicle has dynamic response. I was like, yeah, dynamic response to whatever it does. It's something where, obviously, Land Rover has got the off-road capability, but it's off-road capability and its on-road manners. It's hard to combine the two. It's hard to, how you have a plush ride, but then still have something that's really great off-road. Typically, you get something that's like a truck, it's gonna ride like a truck. Something you get like a Jeep, you've been in a Jeep where you hit the bump and you get you know, or a truck, how they rock side to side. You don't experience that in the Range Rover at all. It's smooth on the ride, it's smooth on the road, it's smooth off-road, but it's partial that is contributed to the dynamic response. And what that allows is, I guess, which I just realized there's fluid involved, but when you're off-road, it allows the wheels to have more articulation, a lot more flexibility. But when you're driving on the road, like it knows when you're on pavement, and I guess based on speed, it doesn't allow any body roll. It keeps everything stiff and keeps everything planted. So it's an advanced system. Obviously, there's fluid involved, so they had to change it out. And a filter, or said, hold on, is it fluid? It's move and place dynamic response reservoir as well as fluid. So they did that, and they did the oil change. Since I was there was a recall, which I received a letter on this, and this recall says that the back of the camera could go out and intermittently. So either you could just, if you have 360 camera on your Range Rover, they're subjected to having either getting a poor image quality or nothing at all and getting inside the camera housing, and they have to then go ahead and replace. So what they're going to do is inspect it. If they don't see any corrosion or water, they will just give me a new seal, an updated seal. If they see corrosion or water, then they're going to replace the camera with a new seal, and then they have to do calibration and things that were more involved. But my vehicle didn't need that. I think they just said it was, just a seal for mine. I had 2 recalls. That's right, I had 2 recalls. So one was, they said it was an engine ECU update. No, sorry. So yeah, it was 1 recall, and then the other one was the ECU update, just a car update. But I told them, I said, if you update my car, I want more horsepower. If you're doing the ECU update, I want more horsepower. He just kind of shrugged it off and laughed. But they did that, and anyway, I was in and out. Probably took about 3 hours for that work to be done. The total cost was, at the end of it, was about $1,000. It would have been $1,200 if I did the filter, but like I said, that's easier for me to do. And I think for me, future oil changes, I may just start doing it myself, but I just wanted to see what the cost was like so I can do a video like this, so that way I can kind of be more transparent and kind of give other people an idea. People have asked me, what's like owning one of these? I want to kind of let you know, hey, the service cost me $1,000 for 1 year. I have to bring it back for a year. Or if I drive a lot of miles, probably, I think maybe I know their service intervals are, I think they're high. I think they're like 10,000 miles, but I wouldn't want to go that far in an oil change. At least if you can get the oil change done in between your major services if you drive a lot of miles. But just think about it like this is considered a four-wheel drive vehicle. There's differentials and things involved. So there's going to be a lot more fluids and things that are going to have to be changed out, replaced, and maintained. If you have a vehicle like this, you're going to have to maintain them, and they come with the cost. So all in all, would I think this is an unreliable vehicle? No, I don't, because other than that seal, which could have happened in any car, I could have, like, my M3 sits a lot, and I should drive it more often. But if it sits for, if I say, if I let it sit for a year and I jump into it and drive, and all of a sudden it's heat cycled, and it hasn't been heat cycled in like a year, yeah, seals are gonna go bad. That's what happens. That's any car. If I have, Toyota Corolla and I've driven it for a year and it's been sitting, hardly even started, seals are gonna go bad. It's just what happens. Now, would a Toyota Corolla be cheaper to work on than a Range Rover? Of course. But yeah, think about that stuff when you buy these vehicles. It's the cost. Just because a vehicle is, $60,000, this vehicle was once $100,000 when it was new. While the vehicle depreciates, the service does not depreciate. And this goes for, I'm not saying just I'm not singling out the Range Rover, Land Rover. I'm speaking of any luxury car, BMW, too, the X5M, those $100,000 vehicles, and my service doesn't cost me any cheaper because the vehicle's cheaper. If I buy an X5M for 30, 40K, while it's a great car and a great value, the service will still be up there. And I think that's where I made that video a while back talking about the expenses to maintain, because if I were to skip out on these services, if I say, you know what, just do the oil change again for $300 and skip out on this dynamic response fluid and all these things, what do you think was going to happen? First of all, the vehicle may not drive right. I might get errors, suspension errors, whatever happens. And then I'm going to get on the forums and be like, never buying a Range Rover again. Unreliable. Now this broken, the suspension's part broken, and they want, $5,000 to fix it. I'm not doing it. Never buy these cars. People are going to hear it like, see, my friend bought one of those, and that's what happened. And that's, it sort of, it spreads like wildfire, and that's how it gets out. I don't think the vehicles are as bad as they say they are, as people make them out to be. I'm going to continue to drive it and put it to paces, of course, and then I will keep you updated along the way. Like I said, who knows what's going to happen. Do I miss my X5? Of course. Would I buy no X5? Most likely. Don't get me wrong, like it. I still just miss a sporty drive. And this drives great. This is a nice road trip car. Yeah, just one or two road trips with the car, but I haven't done anything really, like I said, with the fam. It's mostly been me. Just going somewhere and taking a trip somewhere else. So if one day I said we're planning trips coming down the line. Yeah, it's a great car. I just think for me and my driving style, and this probably goes for me in the Tesla too, because the Tesla feels similar. They just don't fit my driving style. But that's a whole nother separate video, which I probably need to do. I'm gonna get off track here. Love it. I am gonna keep it for a while. Don't know how long. I can't make any promises. But for the time being, I don't see any reason to just get rid of it because of some rumors. But anyway, if you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next one. And anyway, by the way, I get a lot of compliments on this. The blue interior, people love the blue interior. They think it's a black Range Rover, and you assume black, probably, oh, it's probably black on black, whatever. You open up, you see that Eclipse interior. It does. I think that's what sold me on it when I saw that. Like, oh, this really is standing out more. And that's all my services. See, I told you it wasn't that bad. I told you it wasn't scary. It looks like it. You see all this paperwork, you see these things, you're thinking, he's had a year and all this stuff went wrong. I just had different things done. One was a hitch install, one was oil change, and the next one was the 1 year service. And then in between that was the seal problem. They just had to replace the seal, and it just took a couple visits to do it. So that's why I had it. But I'm glad they found it. I'm glad that it was all taken care of. And before I went back the second time, that's why I said in my video where I did the acceleration run, all that stuff done, because that's probably the hardest I'm gonna drive this vehicle was, that 0 to 60 quarter mile time just to see. And I feel like the vehicle really need to be pushed a little bit more before I take it for next service because if anything happens, I do have, there is a certified warranty that's going to expire soon because I had the 1 year, or the bumper to bumper warranty, and then there was a certified warranty that kicked in after that, which I didn't know the car had certified warranty. I guess if you buy a car that's certified with Jaguar Land Rover and the second owner sells the car, the certified package still stays with the vehicle. It's locked into the VIN number. And the only way I knew that because was when I took it in, they told me all this work, but they said, don't worry, it's covered under warranty. And I was like, is it? And they said, yeah, it's all in the warranty. So, and in that time frame, I just haven't had anything go wrong.